Welcome back to the Content King podcast. I am Tony, and today this is my guest, Flo. Hello, Flo.
Hello.
And today I actually want to talk about something really, really cool that I've hinted a lot, whether it be in my content, if you're in my challenges. And it's really, what does it actually look like to batch film podcasts, reels, you name it. So recently I had a client come in this studio. I actually, they sent us a Pinterest board of what their perfect studio would look like. And Flo here helped me design this whole thing. We basically went to Home Goods and bought a bunch of stuff, and now it looks great. And so it's still set up. So we're filming in it today. But I wanted to tell you guys a lot of the things that I've learned in doing this event, because it wasn't me on camera, it was me behind the camera. So, and Flo was with me, putting on the event with me. And so, one, I want to introduce you all to Flo. But two, there was so much that I learned, so much that I was able to confirm in putting on an event like this for somebody else. I wanted to share it with you so that you can feel comfortable starting to batch your content, because starting a podcast and doing all this stuff is not as hard as it sounds.
No, and it really is. It's like we talk about a lot about, it's like such a common thing in the industry to like want passive income, to want to do evergreen courses. But the idea of like your evergreen content being your podcast or your YouTube and the things that can live so long, I feel like it's missing from a lot of entrepreneurs' minds.
Yeah, people think that it's not going to be a lot of money making because they don't want to have ads, or they think that they're only going to be making money off YouTube views, and that is not the case.
No.
But first, before we move any further, I want to introduce you to my friend Flo. This is Florencia. We have been working together for a long time. Our first podcast was together 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And we're now working together on putting on this event.
Yeah. So. Because of the power of podcasting. People will be like, why are you doing that? Which we had that video that we did a few months ago on pivoting and stuff like that. It's not even a pivot, but the as an entrepreneur, the power of you having something like a podcast, which getting to do it with you. And then you were like, bro, what are you doing? Just like, even if you just start with your Apple headphones, go start.
Yeah. And I'll just break it down for you real quick. We won't get too deep into this, but video podcasting is the most incredible opportunity right now. One, like,
do you have the stats?
Yeah, I've got some. Okay. So off the top of my head, I've got some. Number one, if you just do a video podcast instead of just audio, now this video becomes a content reservoir that you could just take reels from. Basically, if you record a 15-minute podcast episode, you can have a audio podcast episode. You could have a video podcast episode. You could have a YouTube channel. You could take that whole script, turn it into a blog post. You can cut up that 15 minutes into at least 5 reels, at least. And you can put those 5 reels on 7 different platforms. You can turn them into tweets, text, LinkedIn posts. You can turn them into email campaigns, broadcasts throughout the week. One piece of content can become 50, just like that.
Can I also say, for someone who hears that and is like, that sounds like the most overwhelming thing ever, you can also not.
Yeah.
Like literally, you could not, and it still would be so worth doing.
Oh, you mean not repurpose it into all this? Yeah.
If you're like, oh my gosh, okay, because I feel like almost like a woman's mind will be like, oh my gosh, if I do that, then I have to do all of the other things. But like the amount of times that I've gotten messages that they're like, hey, I just binged your entire podcast within a week.
Yep. Also, 2 more things I want to say. Actually, maybe 3. This Flo has her own podcast called Made Good, and most of her clients come from the podcast. Number 1. Number 2, YouTube. If you decide to use YouTube and put your video podcast on YouTube, YouTube has more active users, daily active users, as of this past March, which is, I know it's a little while ago, but the only data I have is from March that said that it beat out Twitter and Facebook and TikTok. Wow. TikTok only has 70% the active users as YouTube does. So that's number 1. Number 2, when rich people fight about things, it's pretty important, right? So like we take notice, and as creators, we want to be the ones to reap the benefits of that. Spotify and YouTube are going head to head on YouTube podcasting. So if you didn't know, Spotify just rebranded their Spotify for podcasters into something called Spotify for creators.
Yeah.
And on the Spotify app, which most of us use to listen to music, they now have a Reels function. It's like basically Reels, where they only show short clips of people's podcasts that are hosted on Spotify.
Which I feel like has been teased
Yeah.
over the past year of just how like now there's like a video on the back of the song, even though it loops.
Yeah.
Or when they did their Spotify Wrapped last year, remember they wanted you to go through like a feed of like messages from your artist telling you like, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
They've definitely been teasing it.
Yeah. And so they're going to be taking on YouTube for video podcasts, because you can start a podcast on YouTube, like in the app. You can do that.
Okay.
You can also start it on Spotify.
Yes,
But you're not
which is
gonna
what I do.
Yeah, that's what I do as well.
Yeah.
But if somebody's taking on a big dog will try to defend it. And when two companies that are huge try to win in a certain area, they're going to be elevating that experience so much and pushing it out so much that we can reap the benefits. So it is smart for us to create video podcasts on YouTube and on Spotify, because they're going to be pushed to audiences.
Yeah, that's something that Spotify for creators or for podcasters, it was a few months ago, like announced and notified us of a few months ago, where they
Yeah.
were like, hey, if you have a video attached to your podcast, we are going to push it out to something ridiculous, like 200% more people.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But that is just the reasons why you have to even consider it.
Yeah.
And if you have something to say, which you do, then it's worth doing.
Okay, what about the person that like thinks that this is going to be a lot of work? Like I've heard a few people lately that are like, "Oh, like I don't know if I want to have a podcast, or I don't know if I want to have a YouTube," as if it's going to be this like monster to tackle.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm like naive because I just don't
Well,
know enough.
we're not doing that a favor, because we have all this set up.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this.
Right.
You got started with iPhone headphones? Still. Was today the first day you didn't use Apple headphones?
First day in a year and a half that I recorded on a real microphone instead of on Apple headphones.
And if you were to guess, how much money revenue have you generated from an Apple headphones
Oh
podcast?
my gosh. This is like hard to calculate, to be totally transparent. This is hard to calculate, but I will say I have a 6-figure business. And I think nearly all of my clients have typically listened to my podcast before they buy. So if that's any correlation for that.
You can literally hold up your phone. Do I have it up? Hold up your phone, speak into the mic, go on audio, what is it called? Audio memo, voice memos, and upload that to Spotify. That's it.
Okay, but why do you think people, like that conversation that we had the other day, why do you think people don't want to be on these platforms? Or I guess like YouTube is the one that's like, I think people think is like a whole other beast, which I guess I do too. But like, why is it?
So one of the reasons why I didn't want to get on YouTube is because it's been around for a long time. And you feel like let's say it's been around for 20 years. I don't know the exact number.
Yeah.
Let's say it's been around. Evolution of Dance came out 20 years ago. And
Which was a pivotal moment in human history.
roll the clip.
Actually, let's stop here. Let's go back to the evolution of dance.
That was the first viral video. Anyway.
Oh.
Do you not know what video I'm talking about? Oh my God.
Apparently it was really impactful for you though.
Anyway,
We'll
it
watch
was
it after.
the video.
Okay.
You think that you're going against that entire history of competition. You know, you think like, if I want to start a video podcast, I'm going against people who have been on it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Not the case.
Yeah.
What is it? 8 years ago, I think now, when I started my space YouTube channel,
Yeah.
I published 11 videos in the first year.
Yeah.
And then I never published again. Basically, I published a couple. Just doing that, those videos got picked up by schools. Like science classrooms were starting to show my videos. I got offered several jobs because of those videos. Like, when done well, or when done right,
Yeah.
you're not really competing with a lot of people. You're just competing with yourself and that inability to get yourself to just get on camera and let people hear you.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like people don't get on podcasting because they don't think that they have a voice that's valuable enough to share with people that people would want to hear. You know?
That's like a take it to prayer kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a wound there.
Well, and a lot of the people that I work with are in this new digital marketing
Yeah.
area, right, on TikTok, and they don't have years of experience in digital marketing. So why would they feel comfortable in creating a podcast that's going to bring a lot of exposure to them and maybe shed light on the fact that they're not an expert?
I do think there's something to be said for like getting really good at something.
Yeah.
And not like the idea of like, oh, everyone has a podcast now. Like any bro can like turn on a microphone and like everyone thinks that they have something to say.
Yeah.
I do understand that. But like if you're an entrepreneur, if you already have your own business, you're already probably an expert in something to some capacity. Yes,
Right.
you can keep growing. But then going back to the YouTube thing, I'm thinking about a podcast that I was listening to today that I found because I watched their video. I saw that they were on someone else's YouTube channel, so I checked out their YouTube. I don't spend time on YouTube.
Yeah, neither do I.
It's
Yeah, I do. Never mind.
I feel like men spend more time on YouTube. I would be interested to see those statistics.
Roll the stat. There's nobody back
Producer?
there. Yeah, that's just
Pull
us.
it up, George. But like, I do think that because my husband will be like, oh, I was on YouTube. Or like the other day we were watching something. He was like, this is going to mess up all of my recommendations. And I was like, I don't know what my YouTube is recommending to me at all. But the idea that like, I found it and I was like, oh, good. They're already on Spotify. I'll just go like listen on Spotify. And I listen all the time. But it's like, if you already have a podcast, why not just make sure that the video is good, not doing Zoom videos all the time, which like, hello, I'm the first one, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah,
like,
we're going to get there.
I have gotten away with so much, and there does come a point where you can be like, you should be embarrassed of bad quality.
Yeah.
I think you can start scrappy, but there does have to be a point where you like take it seriously and honor your audience enough to level up the quality, which is what I'm aiming to do this year.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So Flo came to me and said, I need to scale. Like I'm working for money and which is good. We'll talk about that. But I'm like, I'm working so hard and burning the midnight oil and recording these podcasts, and I'm getting like an appropriate amount of customers. And I'm like, you were happy, like you were getting customers, but at the same time, you're able to do this. And we're just like,
Yeah.
you need content to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And so we decided to level you up.
Yeah.
A little makeover.
Or even it was like, this is already working so well.
Yeah. Pour gas on the fire.
Literally, it was like, let's pour gas on the fire. And I'm already someone that like me having to sit down and write, kill me.
Yeah.
Like the thought, like it is so difficult, but I can talk all day. So it's like, if that's already like the kind of person that you are, that you're like talking is like, I would rather voice memo someone than text them.
Yeah.
That's a good sign that you might be the kind of person that would really thrive with having a podcast in your business.
Right.
Because maybe you just like are able to process things verbally a lot better than you can by writing it out.
Totally.
And the idea like this is something that's already been working. So like, why am I not putting more energy into it? And like, how can I?
Yeah. Yeah. There was literally a point where you're like, well, I said, how many people know of your podcast? And you're like, oh, all of my customers know of my podcast. They find me through that, or they see it after they meet me or something.
Which is I didn't realize, that's one of the things of like, when you don't know how things work, you can just like go for it. And it's also then fun to like learn things after. But I didn't know that Spotify was pushing my podcast out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they would do that for me. And it was suggesting it to people. And so then like, I thought everyone was coming from Instagram to podcast.
No.
To my world.
There was literally, you were just listening to a voice memo today of a client or a woman.
Challenger, yeah.
Does not have social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which invalidates the point I'm about to make. But basically, what you can do is when you pour gas on the fire, what we can do is we can get high quality video, high quality audio. We can push these full length episodes and clips out into social media, and people will see not only does she know what she's talking about, but not only does she know what she's talking about, but she's willing to invest in herself in a setup like this, which makes me feel like, oh, this is a real business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And wow, she's just credible in general. Like there's something about high quality video and audio. We call it classy content here: camera, lights, audio, scene, and script, and you. That when all 5 of those things are leveled up, then it's very clear to the person, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
Quality alone can be a scroll stopper.
Literally, it's a pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm like I don't post the video typically of my podcast because it's on Zoom. And I'm like, at this point, I would rather just keep the audio than have like super grainy Zoom video.
Yeah.
And it's like that alone is like a pattern interrupt. And there's some things that it's like, wow, why don't they have like better video for like when I know that their business is at a certain level?
Yeah.
So it's just important to like constantly be like like you're going to reach a certain level and then you're going to kind of plateau there for a second. And this like new identity develops as you like scale and as you grow
Yeah.
and as you develop your skills as an entrepreneur, as you like realize what your audience and what your clients need, as you're like constantly trying to figure out how to make your clients' lives better. And then there's like a certain point where like you're just enough, like isn't going to work anymore. It's okay. We have to hit the next level and the next level. And it's not this like endless chasing, but there is this idea of like, I do believe this because I've done it. Like, yes, start scrappy. Yes, like take messy action. And then let's make sure that things are matching. So should we flesh out? We thought it'd be fun to bring you along for this project. Something that I like personally am not very good at is like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But that's like really fun to get to see. If you're at home trying to do this for yourself, you can kind of do it alongside us. So let's kind of map out like the parameters of this project and what we're going to do.
Okay, so one of the things that I do for clients is they come in here to the studio, they sit down for 2 to 3 days, and they film a first season of their podcast. And like I told you before, this was the design we had for our last one. But at the same time, you know, it kind of made sense because I've been obviously doing my podcast and my YouTube consistently now, and it's time, and you're ready to really level it up. So it's like, we thought it would be fun to do a public experiment of Flo, and leveling her up and really showing you, because you guys still don't know what she podcasts about. You don't know what her business is about, but all you need to know, and you will, but all you need to know is that right now she is using almost no video, just your videos. Or maybe it's computer video.
Do you mean like putting it on the platform or on Instagram?
On Spotify.
No, I don't post any.
You don't do any video on Spotify?
Not yet.
Okay, there's that. You only do AirPod or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, I didn't tell you this, but I went and listened. I went through all of my Spotify analytics, and I went through my episodes, and I went through where people were dropping off, which is like a really cool. Did you see that Spotify does that now?
Yeah.
And like they'll show you exactly where people are dropping off. And I went to some, and so it was like they only listened to the like your biggest drop off was 30 seconds into some. Others it was like 18 minutes, like stuff like that. And there was one that I went and looked at the 30-second mark, and I was like, yeah, because the audio
It's so bad.
is so bad.
Okay. Well, that's part of the experiment. So the experiment is,
But you're not supposed to take it down, right?
No.
If someone's in the same boat as me,
So you
the
can replace the audio.
temptation.
you can upload new audio, which we will get to shortly. There should be a way for you to upload a new audio file for an episode.
So take it down, master it,
No.
remaster it,
And then just
or
re-record
just
it.
redo it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We could also take it down. We'll get into that. But the idea is we're going to mark down Flo's revenue, and to keep things private, we're going to be using percentages on growth. We're going to mark down her revenue, her social media following, how many podcast listeners she get. And
Let's start with that now.
Yeah.
Because the revenue numbers I don't have right now, but let's like just throw out the
Okay.
obvious numbers
Sure.
that everyone can see. Yeah.
It's hard because a lot of these are vanity metrics.
Yeah.
But it'll give us a good gauge on growth and what growth equals what revenue growth.
Okay. So as of recording, we're recording this at the end of November. We'll do the next check-in a month from now.
Also, I got to go home and cook dinner in like 30.
Okay. So right now I'm at 7,867 Instagram
Oh,
followers.
that's fantastic.
Thank you.
TikTok?
I don't have a TikTok.
Not yet.
That's actually, I think, one of my lines.
I don't have a TikTok?
No. Yeah.
Oh, you don't want a TikTok?
yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if I can.
But you'll let me put you on YouTube Shorts though.
Sure. YouTube Shorts. Yeah. Okay. I have.
Clearly, I haven't taught her enough about what is going to happen over the next 2 months.
I have. Cute. So I guess let's see this. All-time streams, plays.
All-time plays.
All-time plays is 14,739.
Okay.
Plays per episode is 250. That would be interesting to see if
250 plays per episode.
Yeah, and that's low right now because I had a little bit of a gap.
That's
It
excellent.
used to be closer to.
Okay, we're not starting from zero. That's important to know.
No, yeah, not at all. And then audience size in the last 7 days was 291.
Wow. Okay, perfect. That means unique people, unique devices that are listening. It's
Yes.
291. Okay. So
And then my top 10 episodes, the average listens is between 600 to 800 for the top 10.
okay. That's phenomenal. Do you know how good that is?
No, it feels so tiny because I think I know about what other people's podcasts do.
Do you know
it's
our
also
first
like,
podcast, which was successful, was only 100 views an episode. Like we did not get a lot of listens,
Wow.
but it still had a huge impact.
Yeah, it
It
did.
makes sense why you're just bringing in sales.
Yes.
But
And then
maybe this is a good point for you to start leveling up your content.
exactly. And then this is traffic wise. This is part that I think would be interesting to check. Like after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year of really leveling up the quality is the impressions. So last 30 days impressions, which their metric for that is, this is the number of times you show or any of your episodes were shown to anyone on Spotify over the last 30 days.
Okay.
It's 26,319.
Holy moly. Okay.
From this, and then they have where people find your content in the last 30 days. So from Spotify home, it was 17,316. From the search, it was 7,308. And from Spotify library was 2,683.
Wow. Okay.
I should screenshot these.
Good to know.
Come back to them. Mine's also been going for over a year and a half.
True.
True.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not getting down on mine, but just to let you know, like I am
Just like the fact that you can make money like off of podcasting and it can increase your business so much.
Yeah.
No matter the audience size.
I guess that's what I'm trying to do is say is like, I know how to podcast.
Yeah.
I know how to grow and I just started, which is great. Fine numbers. These are numbers I would expect.
Yeah.
You do not know how to podcast, quote unquote. You did how many episodes? 15 to 20?
Yeah. I think
in the last year.
Yeah.
And you
My
have
bad.
how many impressions? 27,000?
26,000. Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah.
So the content is good. We just got to make it sound good.
Exactly.
We just got to make sure it's made good.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Tony. No, yeah. And I'm excited to get into like, I haven't taken the time to get into like, how do you optimize all of these things and really make it something that within the first 2 minutes, I think that's something new that I've been wanting to do too, which is the intro. Should you talk about like the importance of the intro itself?
We can. I don't want to get too deep into it now because we're almost out of time and I want to cover something else.
Yeah.
The intro is something we will talk about, it's just like your hook. But I want to ask you. So today was Flo's first day recording in the studio. I brought her in and said, I want to film at least 3 episodes today. I don't want to try and do too much. And I asked her to come in with scripts or outlines, and she came ready. But just in general, how was that for you sitting down and just busting out 3? You did it in an hour.
Oh, yeah. And I'll be honest, I forgot to bring scripts or outlines.
Yeah, but you came ready.
I came with one idea.
You're an expert in what you do.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like I do prefer, because I like for my episodes to be a little bit more meaty and I really like for them to be structured. I cannot stand when I'm listening to a podcast and I'm like, what's the point? Like I can realize within like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're not going to like actually tell me things.
This is why I tell you what the podcast is going to be about right when the podcast starts.
Exactly. Yeah. So I do like to have like 3 main points that I'm trying to hit, whatever. So I do really love working off an outline. Today, I just forgot. I didn't have time. I knew I had one idea that I had gotten a message over the weekend. And this is like the fun about podcasting is that like I got a message and she was like, hey, these are the things that I'm doing for my acne. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I read the message and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like 3 things that are totally wrong. And I was like, awesome, podcast.
Yeah.
3 things that you're doing wrong. And I was like, it would be a disservice for me to just voice memo her all of my thoughts and us have that privately. Yeah. But instead taking this out to the public of like, you are not the only one that's experiencing this.
It's your obligation to share this with everyone.
Yes. And it's like, that's just so much easier and so much faster because she's not the only one that's experiencing this. So like, let me just make sure that this is clear. So I responded to it and I was like, hey, I'm going to flesh it out for you on a full episode. So that was the one thought I had. And then once I started, like something that I maybe thought would have been more intimidating, which is like staring down the barrel of the camera and just talking, you can like zone out.
Oh yeah.
And just like your brain will just go and you can talk. And I did also find that I felt good about having shorter episodes because I know that video is almost more engaging.
Yeah.
I was getting to the point faster because I was like, I don't know if I want to edit like a 25-minute video.
You don't want to do a 30-minute video of just like talking head. It's boring.
Yeah. It's also boring. Yeah. So it flew by. It was so fast. It was so easy.
And people don't necessarily always want to hear an hour-long episode unless it's a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. You doing things by yourself, like people probably don't want to listen to you.
I say no more than 15 minutes if it's by yourself.
Yeah. That makes sense. So I felt like it like instantly, I talk a lot about like the difference between momentum and motivation with my clients, which is like, you need to literally like let go of the word motivation at all costs. It's useless to you, but like you need to learn how to build your own momentum. You might see it differently. But like you need to learn how to build your own momentum because if you're waiting to act on motivation and like when I'm motivated enough to record a video, like you need to learn how to engineer your environment to like get excited and get revved up.
It's also like amateurs work off inspiration.
Yeah.
professionals just work.
Yeah.
When their business needs
Yeah.
to work.
Saquon,
Oh, Saquon.
you think last night? I don't know if he went on the field. Inspired and
Last week he
motivated.
does a backflip over somebody. This
Yeah,
week.
yeah, but like the man can play, so something about that is.
For those wondering, I'm in first place in Flo, and her husband are in second place in our
and
fantasy football league.
It's tight. It's close.
It's getting really
And
sweaty.
last night was Eagles versus Rams, but yeah, like knowing how to turn it on and something about the physical act of getting on the camera, you see yourself on the monitor, turning on the video, you're like, I have to be on.
Yeah.
And I think it's turning my brain on in a way that just podcasting audio alone wasn't.
Interesting.
Yes.
When did you publish your last episode? Ish.
They're posted every week.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't you take a break for a little while?
I did take a break, but we're back.
How long was the break?
I think it was a 2-month break.
2 months.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I didn't batch.
No, like what?
Like actually why?
Actually, why?
Okay.
Because I didn't sign up for Tony's course.
Well, I guess there was two big things. One was that we had like talked about doing this, and I almost like hit the brakes and was like, until I have this like 10x quality, I'm not going to post at all.
Okay.
Like I used it as like a stop.
I do it all the
like
time.
I can't go because I need like
I know
now
it's
that
going to be better.
You know, and I was like, now that I know what it's going to look like, because we recorded a few tests.
Yeah.
I was like, now that I know how good it's going to be, like I need to get that done. But it's like just
useless to
didn't
do it
happen.
this old way. Yeah.
What is that? And then I think I had like hit this wall of being like, I don't know what to talk about. But you don't know what to talk about until you start talking. Like I only came with one episode idea today. And then once I did that one, I was like, you know what? Now that we've covered that, I should probably touch back on this thing that I haven't talked about in a while. And then let's talk about something else.
I said, Flo, how many episodes can you do? She's like, however many you want. You want 6? I can do 6. Now tells me she only came with 1.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay, well, one, I invite you to, if you're listening, to take the steps with us as we're doing them with Flo. Obviously, it's going to be hard if you don't have a studio and you don't have this. You don't have to do it the level we're doing it. We're trying to level up her podcast. But I hope this inspires you to just get some audio files recorded and put them on Spotify. Like Google how to upload a video to Spotify for podcasters. Just give it a try.
Yeah. And if you don't want to start with video, start with audio. But go ahead and
you've built a 6-figure business off just audio. Let's be clear about that.
oh yeah, things skyrocketed when I added that in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's okay to start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's better to start than to wait until it's perfect. And then, so what we're doing, so this one is like mapping out the project for you. This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to do these next 6 new episodes of a new season that will be a video podcast for me over the course of these next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're going to get that done. And that way I'm going to head into the new year with all video content from now on. I will still be doing audio exclusives
Yeah,
because
we
I
like
think it's
that.
important.
We'll talk about that.
Yes, to like give my audio audience that thing and to know that you can flex between both.
Yeah.
Like I cannot control what my guests that are on Zoom, what their situation looks like. I would prefer to probably keep those audio podcasts.
Yeah.
So having a bit of a dance. I'm also going to level into from going 1 episode a week to 2
Okay.
and see how that goes. I've heard that that's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
That if you start doing more than 2, you start to poach views off of each other.
I like to do two, one of them being like just me teaching
Yeah.
and one of them being like a conversation.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
exact. So I have Fridays are going to be more conversational.
Cool.
And then I have mine that are a little bit more structured, coming out early in the week. And then marking down all of these metrics.
Yep.
And another thing that I'm like a secret metric that we're going to be monitoring is like if people notice, like what people say, if there's
Interesting.
any
Qualitative.
feedback.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very curious conversation wise if there's any like feedback from my audience on noticing this new kind of era.
It's going to be great.
What Taylor Swift song should we end out with?
Thank you for joining. We will keep you updated with everything that we are doing to grow Flo's podcast, everything that you can be doing at home to start yours. And
If this would be helpful for you,
mm-hmm.
if we can like map out the spreadsheet for you of the things that we're keeping track of, just let us know and we'll add it into the show notes and you can kind of keep track of your stuff with us.
You can put comments in, whether this is on YouTube or on Spotify. You can't do it on Apple, but you can add a comment to this episode. So if you have any questions about this process, let us know. We'll put it in next episode. And yeah,
amazing.
cool.
I'm excited.
If you guys are wanting to stay in touch with us, you can find me at Content with Tony on all platforms.
And me at The Catholic Nutritionist.
Yes, her podcast is called Made Good.
Yep.
And I can't have an effect on your podcast because your podcast is 30 times the size of mine. So 60 times the size of mine. So I'm not worried about these viewers ruining your stats. Also, if you guys are interested in kind of rewiring your brain so that you can think about content in a way that scales your business into one that you just kind of like hope for sales and stuff like that, join my virtual content challenge. It will absolutely flip content on its head and you will never make content again. You will never make content the same again. And you can sign up below. Actually, just today, I interviewed a woman named Tiffany who took my challenge back in October. And since then, she has made $17,000 on a side hustle. Like she works during the day. This is her side hustle because she changed the way that she made content. And we'll talk to her soon. We'll get her on the podcast. But I really invite you to join. The link is in the description. And Flo, thanks for joining me today.
Always a pleasure.
All right. See you next time.